Go on, starting over.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Look, enemy is busy. He's so busy, but that's okay. That's all right. Things happen. Technology happens. I know that everyone is going to be rejoining in. So we are going to give everyone just a few minutes for them to come on in, and then we'll get into everything that we have to do. Because I know some were like, What just happened? What happened?" But technology is technology. It goes down. But
We
as
have
we're
48 back so far, so you can go ahead and start.
okay, all right. So good morning again to everyone. Again, this is going to be what I consider a short but sweet for this particular one. And so the scripture verse that we are going to be focusing on is going to be Second Corinthians chapter 5. And the verse there is going to be 7. And I'm going to read that from the Amplified version. And so it says this. It says, "For we walk by faith, not by sight, living our lives in a manner consistent with our confident belief in God's promises." Rox is, like I said, she's already talked to us and she told us about trusting in God and stepping out. And so, all I'm going to do, there is a movie that my kids and I and my family that we watched, and I think I've talked about this a few times before on some other platforms, but this movie called Forward, right? And so there is this scene in Forward that is really powerful to me, and I really love it. And so it's a kid movie, so I know you're probably like, "What? I've never heard that." It's a kid movie, but I'll give you a synopsis and tell you how it plays into this right here, and I pray that everybody's going to walk away being blessed from this. So in this movie, these are it's a movie about like the belief in magic, and about how if people just believed in magic, how it could change everything that was going on, right? And so in this movie there are two characters. There's this younger boy, and he has always believed in the power of magic, right? And he's always believed in it because his father had passed away when he was younger, and he was always in search of, like, just one day if I could just meet my dad, it would be so amazing. And he was on this quest to, do what he can. And so his magical birthday came around, and so his mom gives him this letter, and in this letter it's instructions about it's instructions from his dad. And so it is this way of, like if you cast this spell out, like it'll bring him back to life, but it's only going to bring him back for like a 24-hour period from sun up to sundown. And so you've got to be able to do it. Well, the young man, he does the spell, and as he's doing the spell, it doesn't work all the way well because he doesn't really believe like everything, and he didn't believe that he had all of the power that he needed to be able to cast it. So him and his older brother, they go on this quest to try and find like these jewels and all these things that are necessary in order for them to create the rest of the spell, so that the dad can be there and they can have this time. And so the young man, he has, this checklist of everything that he wants to do. He has this checklist of everything that he is going to like check off, and these things that he wants to be able to do if he were to ever meet his father. Well, his older brother is one who has always been looking out for him and has always been guiding him, teaching him, telling him all about magic. And his older brother believes wholeheartedly in the power of magic and about spells and everything else. And he's the one who's like, "Look, if you just do this, it's gonna work." And he knows it all. But his brother is not really conventional. His brother is not the kind that you would really want to take advice from, because he's deemed as a little clumsy, a little unorthodox. He's just a little different than what is normally done. And so because he's a little different, the younger brother, he pays attention to him, but not always paying attention to him. So fast forward, they go through this quest. And so as they're going through this quest and they get to this piece, the way that they have to get to where they're trying to go, and the piece that's going to help bring their dad back, they have to cross over this like large gap. And so they arrive at this gap. And so when they arrive at the gap, they're like, "How are we supposed to get across this?" And so the older brother, of course, is like, "Oh, this is what you call a faith bridge." And so he's like, "A faith bridge? Like, what is that?" And he says, "Well, it's like one of those things where you have to believe that you can actually get across it. And the more belief that you have, the easier it is for you to go across the bridge, and you don't have to worry about anything. If you just believe in yourself and you believe in that, that's how the bridge works. But it only works if you have enough belief in who you are, and you believe in this spell, and you believe in everything that happens. And so the younger brother is like, okay, I can do it, I can do it, I'm going to be able to do this. And so he, starts to inch out, and he starts to get in. And so as he starts to inch out and he starts to get into it, he's like, no, I can't do this. He was like, I'm not going to be able to do this, I need some help. Like, what happens if I fall? What happens if something goes on? And so the older brother's like, hey, I need you to pause, I need you to stop. And he says, I tell you what I'm going to do, I will tie a rope around you just in case. And he says, you know what, if you start to fall, he was like, guess what, I got you on the rope, and I'm going to be able to pull you back up, and it's going to be fine. And so the little brother starts to, go in. And so as he goes in, he actually falls, and he's like, hey, you said you were going to have me. He says, see, that was just practice. See, no, it works, I got you. And so he says, okay. And so he ties the rope around him, and he begins to walk. And so the older brother tells him, he says, look, all I need you to do is to believe. And he says, after you believe, I just need you to keep stepping and keep going. He says, don't stop, don't look back at me. I need you to be straightforward into everything that you have, and I need you to focus on looking forward, and that's all I need you to do. And so the younger brother says, okay, I'm going to do it. All right. And he says, and remember, I got you. He said, but don't look back at me. I need you to keep looking forward and just to keep going. He says, I got the rope, I'm holding it on. So little brother gets the courage up, and he says, okay. And he starts taking the steps, right? And he starts walking, and he starts walking. Now there's this big old gap, and he's looking down, and he's like, keep going forward. His older brother is telling him, keep going forward, keep going. You've got this. Keep going. Don't you look back. And so the little brother keeps stepping, and he takes one step, and he's like, ah, I'm actually doing it. And so he's stepping, and he's excited because he's actually believing in himself, and he's actually believing in what's going on, and he's believing that it's going to happen, and he's believing that he's going to get there. And so as he keeps on stepping, he's like, I'm doing it, I'm believing in it. Now older brother is in the back over on the other side of the valley. Now he sees his brother keep walking. Y'all, guess what happened? The rope that was holding on to him, it was too short, and he didn't want to discourage his brother. So he said, keep looking forward, keep going straight, I got you, don't worry about it. And so younger brother's excited, he's going, and right before he gets to right at the edge on the other side where he can let down the little drawbridge from the faith, he turns back and he looks back, and he notices that the rope isn't there, and he's like, I'm in this panic. And so as he's in this panic, he begins to dip down, but his older brother says, don't stop, keep on. And he holds on, and he makes it across to the other side. And so makes it across to the other side, they're celebrating because he's believing that I did it. Like, it actually worked. I actually made it across. Well, sisters, I tell you that story because it pertains to you and I and this particular scripture, especially. And I'm going to read it again now that you've heard the story. And it says, for we walk by faith, not by sight, living our lives in a manner consistent with our confident belief promises. So start just like in that story or in that movie and forward, he had to believe. I told you it was going to be a SBS, right? There's three things that we have to do. You've got to step out, you've got to believe that it's already done, and you got to stay in prayer and meditation. Step out. Hebrews chapter 11 and verse number 1 is the thing that we always quote. If you're around church or anything like that, you've heard the songs all the time. I got that Hebrews 11 and 1. And Hebrews, if you don't know what it says, now faith is a confidence in what I hope for, an assurance about what I do not see. Or faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, depending on which version you came up with. But it's about us stepping out. Sisters, when it comes to life and circumstances and things that are going to go on, God says, I don't need you to have it together. He says, the only thing that I need for you to do is to believe. I need you to trust in me. I need you to put your full weight in me. And I need you to be able to understand that even though you can't see what's happening right now, I'm already preparing things for you. I'm already setting it up. I'm already making ways out of no ways. I am already doing a new thing that is going to be bold and that is going to be available for you. But sister, you got to step out, and you got to step out, and you got to trust in him, and you got to walk out your faith, not just talk it, but you got to walk it. That be right is believe that it's already done. a lot of times we go into this thing, saying that, okay, if you just trust in God, it's gonna be okay, and if you do what you're supposed to do, it's gonna be a great. Yeah, that's great, but you gotta believe it, and believing in it is no more than saying that. I am going to trust with everything in me. I'm going to obey everything that God has. Mark chapter 9, verse number 23. Jesus was talking and he said, if you can believe, he said, all things are possible for one who believes. If you believe in the God that you serve, if you can believe in the God who said, let there be, and there was light, if you can believe in the God who said, I'm going to have you hold out your staff, and he parted a whole Red Sea, and he made a highway out of an oceany state and made it dry so that people can walk out. If you believe in the story of him allowing one itty bitty scrawny little man come on, and he took on a whole army of people, and he led his group and he led his people to have victory over with just 300 men. If you believe that the same God who told these three boys, who said, we believe in God, and if I believe in the God that we serve, you throw us into the fire, it's going to be okay. He allowed those boys to walk through, and that wasn't even the blessing. The blessing was, as they were walking through, the people who were walking them, they got burnt up before they even got to the fire, and they were in the fire, and in there they was doing all right. They were walking around God and was there. God was walking with them. Sisters, if you believe in the fact that there was a Jesus who said, I'm gonna be there, I'm gonna do it for my daughter, I'm gonna do it because I know that she needs it. If you believe that our Jesus, yo Jesus, my Lord and my Savior, he hung up there, and he hung up there so that we can hang in there. If you believe that, then sister, there is nothing that is not possible for you. Yes, hardship is going to come. Yes, death is going to meet each and every single one of us in one way or another. Yes, calamity is going to be around. Look, if y'all haven't been paying attention, the world is changing, physically changing. There are storms, there are tornadoes. People are losing houses, people are losing things, people are losing lost ones, loved ones. You may have more bills than you have money, but I don't know who you've been believing, but I know that I'm going to believe in the God that says, I will be there with you. I can do it. The God, the same God, sister, who can take some dry bones, bones that wasn't even there, dead bones that don't even have any life in them, and bring them back together again. And he can make an army, and he can bring his salvation to be, y'all, he can do whatever it is. All things are possible, but you got to believe in that God, that same power. You got to believe in it. And that last as you got to stay in prayer and meditation. Mama D always tells us all the time her favorite verse. She says, I live in Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. You already know it. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. You know why that verse is so powerful and why that section is so powerful? Because it says, in all your ways. That means in everything that I do, everything that I am, everything that I'm being, I have to have a mindset that says, God, I'm going to keep you first. God, I don't know what I'm going through. I don't know why this is brought to me, but I trust you. God, I'm going to still believe in you. God, I'm stepping out, and I'm going to live out loud with what you have prepared for me. I'm going to do every and all things that you tell me to do. This is what our God does. This is the God that we have. Sister, that little boy in the movie, he didn't know what was going on. He had a belief system that the rope was holding him. Sister, I need you to understand that sometimes God is going to break them ropes from you. We think that if we just hold on to this or we hold on to that, that's going to be the thing that is going to keep us. That's going to be what is going to hold us or maintain us. It was his faith. It was his belief in what he could not see that was propelling him and allowing him to walk through. Sister, it's going to be your belief in the God that we serve that's going to propel you to walk over your hardships, walk over the circumstances. One of the great things that I love so much, and David alludes to it, and we're going to end on this, is that, a lot of times we look at when we're going through hardships, and, we talk about, I'm in the valley, and what, I'm in the downside, and I don't know what's going to go. And we want to be on that mountain high. Let me tell you about what's so beautiful about being in the valley. In the valley, if you've ever been in like mountains and things like that, it's in the bottom, and in the valley where it's a little rough, where it gets a little tough, That's where the green grass is. That's where it grows. That's where beautiful things emerge out of it. It's in the valley that God does the most work. Yeah, it's great to be on the mountaintop high, but it's in the valley that you get to experience God. It's in the valley that God will walk you out. It's in the valley that you got to have to show your faith in what you believe, because it's in the valley that God is saying, do you believe on whom I am? Do you believe in the power that's resting and ruling in you? Tell them coworkers, tell that wayward child, tell that spouse, tell that husband, tell whoever it might be, tell whatever your circumstance is that I don't know what is going to happen. I don't know how I'm going to make it out, but I do know one thing. I'm going to trust in the God that I serve. I'm going to trust in the God who has been the same yesterday, today, and he forevermore will reign. Sisters, on today, I want you to walk it out. When you say I walk by faith, now you're going to be thinking about, I'm going to keep stepping. I'm going to keep doing it because I believe in whom I have not seen, but I'm going to believe in the one who has showed up. I'm going to believe in the one who has always brought me out. I'm going to believe in the one who will never, ever leave me. God's promises are true and true. And for that, sister, we can stand and we can walk it like we talk it. If you want to talk about faith, you're going to have to walk it out. And I want you to walk across whatever circumstances are coming your way. I want you to see it already being done. And I want you to believe it. And I want you to stay prayed and connected to the God that we serve. Because when we keep God first, everything else will always turn out the way that it needs to be. All things work together for the good. It may not be good, but it's going to work out for your good. That's our SBS for today, y'all. I want you all to be lifted, be encouraged, understand that God has you. God is going to keep you. God is going to do all that he's going to do because he's God, and God some more. Be blessed, and stars. Be blessed. Oh, I'm hosting. Okay, so on that note, I want everyone to be well. I know that we normally have our breakout times, but I know that I'm gonna have like a short cutoff. So what I'm gonna do, I know that there are prayer requests and things that we have going on. But if there is anyone who had any takeaway or anything that really stood out, anything that you wanted talk about, we will do it. I think is Sister Renee on? I think I saw her